The legend of pirates is filled with black flags, golden treasure, and daring battles. But the dirty truth is far less romantic. Their ships reeked of sewage and disease. Their food crawled with worms and maggots. Their bodies were covered in lice, their teeth blackened and rotten, and their nights ended in drunken chaos. And yet, this filth was part of their strength. Pirates weren't heroes. They weren't noble outlaws. They were survivors. They lived without rules, without kings, and without shame. The dirty little secrets of their lives remind us that history is not made of myths, but of reality. Sweaty, stinking, bloody reality. Pirates endured storms, starvation, disease, and each other. They turned filth into fuel, desperation into survival, and chaos into legend. That is why, centuries later, we still talk about them. Because pirates weren't just criminals. They were men who stared at death every day and laughed through broken teeth. And maybe that's the greatest secret of all. Pirates didn't just survive the seas. They mastered them, filth and all. Pirates didn't just steal gold. They chased pleasure with the same ferocity they hunted ships. And when the rum flowed, their wild side was unleashed. Rum was their lifeblood. Barrels captured from merchants fueled nights of drinking until men collapsed on deck. They mixed it with water and sugar to make grog, but most preferred it straight, burning down throats, igniting laughter, and sparking fights. Sex was another secret. Out at sea, there were no women, but in port towns, pirates stormed brothels, spending plundered gold on nights of debauchery. Tavern owners and prostitutes thrived on pirate money, while priests and governors cursed their sins. On ships, things were murkier. Some pirates formed close bonds with each other, partnerships for loyalty, comfort, or more. Among desperate men, companionship blurred lines. It was rarely spoken of, but it was one of the unrecorded realities of life at sea. And then came the brawls. A single insult over rum or a cheated dice throw could explode into violence. Tankards smashed, fists flew, knives flashed. Sometimes it ended in laughter, sometimes in blood. Pirates lived hard, played harder, and died young. Their dirty secrets weren't just about filth, they were about indulgence. They burned through life in a frenzy of drink, sex, and violence, as if each night could be their last. And for many it was. Pirates lived by their stomachs as much as their swords, but their food was rarely fit for kings or even beggars. Their staple was hardtack, rock-hard biscuits baked to last months. By the time pirates chewed them, they were infested with weevils. Sailors joked that if your biscuit didn't crawl, it wasn't fresh. Most men ate them in the dark, so they wouldn't have to see the worms. Meat was salted pork or beef stored in barrels. In tropical heat, it turned slimy and green. That's where the infamous maggot trick came in. If maggots were wriggling, it was safe to eat. If not, it could be deadly. Fresh food came only when pirates raided. Suddenly, the crew might devour roasted pigs, fruits, wine, even chocolate stolen from merchant ships. But luxuries never lasted. Within days, it was back to wormy biscuits and slimy pork. Water was no better. Barrels turned foul with algae and worms. Some pirates added rum to mask the taste, creating the legendary drink, grog. Pirates didn't starve quietly. They improvised. They ate rats, boiled leather, and whatever the sea offered. It was survival, not cuisine. These were the dirty little food secrets of pirate life. Men who plundered treasure but dined on filth. And to them, the choice was simple. Eat disgusting food or die hungry. Forget treasure and maps. One of the dirtiest secrets of pirate life was this: there were no toilets. On most pirate ships, the bathroom was little more than a plank hanging off the side of the ship, called the head. Pirates squatted there, waves crashing below, clinging to ropes for balance. In storms, it was dangerous. One wrong move, and a man could be swept overboard. Buckets were another grim option. Pirates relieved themselves in buckets, which were dumped overboard, sometimes days later. The smell was unbearable, especially in the lower decks where sewage sloshed with the rolling waves. Cleanliness wasn't a priority. Sewage often leaked onto the deck or mixed with the bilge water in the ship's bottom, creating a swamp of waste, rot, and disease. Mosquitoes, flies, and rats thrived in this filth. For drinking and eating, the same deck was used. Pirates might be chewing salted pork just feet away from where sewage buckets were emptied. Hygiene was non-existent. And yet, pirates adapted. They were hardened men, used to smells and sights that would make most faint. They joked about it, mocked each other, and kept going. But to captured sailors, the stench of pirate ships was one of the most unforgettable horrors. This was one of the dirtiest secrets of life at sea. The ocean wasn't just their battlefield, it was also their toilet. Pirates may have struck fear with their flags and cannons, but up close, the terror was often their smell. Bathing at sea was almost impossible. Fresh water was too valuable to waste on washing, so most pirates went weeks, sometimes months, without a bath. Their skin was coated in sweat, salt, and grime. Clothes stiffened with filth, never washed, often crawling with lice. Hair and beards were tangled nests. Pirates scratched constantly at lice and fleas, and some shaved their heads to fight the infestation. Others wore scarves not for fashion, but to hide sores on their scalps. Teeth were even worse. With no toothbrushes and a diet heavy on sugar and rum, their mouths rotted fast. Gums swelled with scurvy, teeth blackened, and the stench of rotting breath hung over every conversation. And yet, pirates sometimes turned this filth into a weapon. Captured sailors wrote of pirates who looked and smelled so terrifying that fear alone made men surrender. A face covered in scars, a beard filled with lice, and a grin of rotten teeth was as effective as any sword. Hygiene was not just ignored, it was impossible. Pirates didn't smell of salt and freedom. They stank of sweat, rot, and disease. Their true terror wasn't only in battle, it was in the sheer filth they carried with them. Step aboard a pirate ship, and the first thing to hit you wasn't the sight of cannons or treasure. It was the smell. The stench was overwhelming. Salt water mixed with sweat, urine, gunpowder, and rotting food. Barrels leaked brine. Dead fish and scraps littered the deck. The sun baked everything into a choking haze. The lower decks were worse. Cramped, dark, and airless, they were crawling with rats, lice, and cockroaches. Pirates slept in hammocks strung above filth, breathing air so foul it made newcomers gag. Buckets of sewage sloshed with the waves, sometimes spilling over during storms. And disease thrived in this filth. Fleas carried plague, mosquitoes carried fever, and spoiled water brought dysentery. A single sick man could infect an entire crew. Doctors were rare, and when they did exist, their tools were crude knives and saws. Even the weapons added to the chaos. Gunpowder and smoke clung to the ship, coating the wood in soot. After battles, the decks were soaked in blood, never fully scrubbed clean. From the outside, pirate ships looked like floating fortresses, but inside they were closer to floating sewers. It was a reality that stripped away any romance. Life aboard was hard, filthy, and dangerous. A pirate could survive cannonballs, but be killed by the very dirt beneath his feet. When most people imagine pirates, they picture daring adventurers. Black flags flying, treasure chests overflowing, and fearless captains with flashing swords. But the truth is far dirtier. Life aboard a pirate ship was not glamorous. It was filthy, stinking, and often unbearable. The decks were crawling with vermin, the food rotted within days, and the men themselves lived in a state of grime and disease. These were not swashbuckling heroes in shining coats. They were desperate outlaws who often stank so badly that even captured prisoners wrote of the horror. Pirates partied hard, but they also lived in filth, carried disease, and hid secrets that history books rarely tell. From lice-infested beards to rotting teeth, from maggot-filled meals to the shocking way pirates used the bathroom at sea. This is the reality behind the legend. These are the dirty little secrets that never make it into Hollywood films. Secrets that reveal pirates not as romantic figures of freedom, but as men scraping survival out of misery, stench, and desperation. So prepare yourself, because once you know the truth of how pirates really lived, you may never see them the same way again.